Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of Salute to Industry. This one's a favorite of mine. I love the security space. I love the cybersecurity space. It's just something I geek out on myself personally. And, I've done a little bit of work over the years inside of that with IBM and some of the other people out there in the space. And I'd love to bring this to light, but there's a lot to unpack today. And here we're sitting with Covered Six and the CTO, Lee McWhorter. Is that correct? I hope I pronounced that right. Perfect. And so let's talk about Covered Six in what I summed up. It's advanced security and training programs. So much to unpack here. If you could just start in and just tell us about the company and start peeling back these layers of the onion, and we'll kind of splinter off from there.
Perfect. Well, thanks for having me, Don. And we're very excited to be working with VetJobs. And I'm excited to be here. I like doing this kind of stuff. Covered Six is kind of a unique veteran-owned, veteran-focused, holistic cyber and physical security company. We do all layers. We started actually with a base of being a fully certified academy. And so we offer training in physical security, executive protection, and cybersecurity, and a new program coming called Technical Security Integration. And so we start with that base. We're GI Bill approved. Actually, in physical and cybersecurity, we're the Department of Labor national standard for those programs, and we're very proud of that. And so we do some really cool, unique programs, and then we offer services in all of those areas, as well as products, because our ultimate mission, if you sum it up, is to be able to employ vets and help veterans and people transition into these wonderful careers.
And this is where VetJobs comes in. Everybody knows us in the space as, one of the premier employment placement pieces, not placement pieces, but assistance pieces. I hate when people come to us like, oh, give me a job. We're like, whoa, let's talk about this real quick. I forgot to warn you about the banners that I'm going to throw up throughout. So I'm going to toss some of these up, but let's rewind that real quick and show people a little bit about the company, because we're going to get into about the jobs that you guys are going to be looking for. But I thought this is very important to you guys. I think I just heard you talk on it, but let's talk real quick about this that happened in 2017, I believe, with the national standard piece, because I think that's a big piece, and it kind of gives you, that level of professionalism in the industry, if you will. So please, let's touch a little bit more on this before we move forward.
Well, absolutely. This is something that our founder and leader, Chris Dunn, is super proud of. The whole team is actually, but particularly on the physical security side, they've worked long and hard to work with the Department of Labor and ultimately initially get those certifications and the national program standard for that. And then, as you said, in 2017, we added the cybersecurity training as another national program standard. We worked with them. They gave us a lot of research and information, tied to some of the NIST and NICE standards out there in the cybersecurity space, and aligned with CompTIA, which is actually how I come to Cover Six, because I've been a huge fan of them for a long time.
Yeah, you got that PenTel certification too. Congratulations on that. I saw that in the bio. Yeah.
I have a ton of certifications. It's kind of my stick. I got all the CompTIAs a while back. And I had been teaching their stuff for a long time, but kind of riding on my older certs, and I decided to go on a run. That's another story for another day. But anyway, we so we took that information, and particularly on our cybersecurity side, we built what I believe, and even CompTIA tends to believe too, is kind of one of the most unique cybersecurity programs that meets that standard. We provide about 50% hands-on labs. Even now in our distance model, we ship students a 35-pound box of equipment so they can do everything we did in the classroom. Literally take a computer apart, put it back together day two, build networks, play with Raspberry Pi, do all kinds of stuff. And we then move into using virtual machines and virtual networks and capture the flag to continue to train the cyber part. And we've turned this into a really cool program. And it follows all those. It aligns with the CompTIA A+ network and Security Plus. On the physical side, it aligns with national and California standards and on physical security. And just like our guys come out with cyber certs, those guys come out with guard cards and first aid and tactical types of certifications. We're very, very big on hands-on, and I would say all of our programs are probably 50% or more hands-on.
I wish we had a shot of the training facilities. I love the training facilities. That's a legitimate training facilities that you guys have. I mean, that's awesome. Maybe we'll ask the editor to throw a photo up here in the video somewhere so you guys can check that out.
I might be able to. Give me 1 second. I know that's kind of funny, but if it'll let me do it here while we're in the session.
You should. I believe you might have screen share capabilities. Nobody's ever asked. We've never attempted it. It could be a first. We might break the internet.
Oh
But
well, I think it's not going to let me. I have a background that is
oh,
that village, and so I think because we're
village.
recording now, it's not going to let me change to it. So maybe
Right.
we can throw that up later. There are some nice pictures on our website, but yeah, we've built. I know it was one of the things that when I first visited, I was just blown away. But that sort of speaks to the level of commitment to training. We've built a small little village with a disco and different spaces, and we do a lot of our tactical training. It's actually funny, in our cyber classes, both online and in there, they occasionally get to hear some of that because they may be doing a tactical simulation in the back and they're popping flashbangs and doing things, smoke, and try to make it a realistic evacuation drill or something like that. And so we get those slight distractions, but it's a cool environment for sure.
Yeah. We'll get a photo in here somewhere. I'm going to bounce around a little bit because there's just so much to unpack, and as the conversation unfolds, I'm just going to want to kind of dive into some stuff. But for people watching right now, let's circle back and kind of just do a 50,000-foot view of all the things that you're hiring for and kind of how they fit into what you guys have. So people out there looking for employment in the security space, covered sticks runs on the cybersecurity side, which is Lee's expertise. Side of it, and then there's the employment side as far as security goes, so you can get your guard card, but there's executive security as well. So let's kind of touch on that real quick, so that's relative for everybody watching right now.
Yeah, absolutely, Don. We I like to say we guard fancy things and fancy people. So we've worked throughout the years with SpaceX, Virgin Orbital, a lot of defense contractors, and then we are the police force for a number of private neighborhoods, exclusive neighborhoods. And just on and on. Some of the more, because of COVID, some of the things that might have been, resorts and things like that are not quite as active right now. So that's kind of
it's coming back soon enough. Right?
It will come back. I think this year is going to be much better. Yeah. But yeah, it's kind of our model. We like to do training. We will end up hiring some of our own graduates, and putting them to work on different details, whether that's the physical side or the executive details. And then on our cyber side, we have what we call our cyber impact teams. And what we do with these is we basically, we're taking some of our graduates again, we're giving them an opportunity to go out and get real world experience. One of the things we've done a lot of is kind of incident response. A company gets hit, say with crypto malware, and everything is encrypted and shut down. And, that company may not have 2 weeks to survive if we can't help get in there and get all that back up and running because they're just not operating, right? So we come in with a team. We can put boots on the ground pretty much anywhere in 24 hours to help remediate that, start re-imaging servers. But we also do other work, especially lately with everything going on in the world. We've done a lot of OSINT, open source intelligence. We have some of our guys basically doing monitoring work with one of our GSOC partners. I mean, there's just all kinds of opportunities across all of the spaces. And even then, we train so many people. We have national recruiting partners, and that we use to help place. And particularly right now, folks with security clearances are really in demand on the cybersecurity side. So if they can come to our program, get a Security Plus cert, and have a security clearance, it's a really good leg up into the field.
Well, there's a long line to get that out in the civilian world. So I hear what you're saying. It's 12 to 24 months sometimes to get that in place. So if you're coming out, you're highly valuable. And if you're listening, you have that clearance, listen up, highly valuable in the security and cybersecurity space. So we can't push that enough. We've got hundreds of candidates that have that stuff. And so let me ask you a question. So it's not always, is it about the right fit? Are you guys willing to train? It sounds like you have these training regimes and programs to get them to where you need them to be. So for people, again, listening, there could be a slew. You might have some different levels of experience inside of IT, framework, pieces of Microsoft, pieces of CompTIA, or all of those might jumble into something that be of interest to you, it sounds like.
Yeah, well, in all honesty, we have programs in different layers. Technically, like our physical security is kind of our foundational class. And then the EP, executive protection, is obviously more advanced. And so in our program, we have currently our foundation class, but we also have, waiting on state approval, should be coming out soon, an intermediate and advanced class so we can take people at all different levels and train them. In our base program, we can start, some come that have many times some veterans will have some experience, maybe from their MLS in the field, right?
Right.
Or maybe just personal. We have a lot of people who are gamers, or, they like they built their own computer. So they know they know enough to get going.
Right.
And then we can go forward with that. But we start with if you don't have any experience besides maybe just using a computer, don't really understand how it works inside, we literally that's why we start with that A+. We want to make sure that they understand the hardware and the software and how all those basics works. And then we add the networking, even if they may not ever per se specialize in networking. If you don't, it's sort of like anything else. If you don't know about it, how can you defend it? And that's the ultimate goal with Security Plus, and then going into more.
This is how it's built. This is how it's penetrated. You've got to understand the layers to it. I understand that. And I think that's part of the challenge is seeing all the people that we work with that are taking all these cybersecurity trainings that we have, with the Red Hats and just IBMs and Microsoft pieces that we have. They start stacking these certifications and they don't quite know the space yet, and so they're not really finding a challenge to find a career path moving forward, which is part of what we're trying to do here at VetJobs is stitch all of this together. We have robust training programs ourselves. We're pushing out thousands of people a year through these, and we're trying to now work. This year is a big year for us in working with people like yourself and the Covered Sixes and the groups, and really stitch that together and say, okay, these stacks here can lead you here, and this is your career trajectory here. Obviously the industry can change and everything like that, but that's a big thing that we're trying to tackle right now, and I think we can do a lot of work in that area together. So it makes perfect sense for me. Hopefully it's making sense to those people out there watching us. So.
I really do hope that your viewers will take to heart what you just said there, because you guys are a great organization. We're just honored to be working with you and to have been hooking up to get the chance to work with you starting last year and going into this year. And all of the services, one of the things, it's like I'm actually part of a group out in the California area called Secure the Village. And of course, it sort of takes a village, right? That
right.
Point. But it really does, because that's why, we don't do it all. We have partners like you to help us and get the right people and make sure that we got the right fits. And we have different supplemental stuff around that. Then our program is very thorough and robust. We do all of that hands-on, but we teach some soft skills and other stuff necessary. Then we work with our recruiting partners and people that help with resumes and getting them placed. And it takes that whole line, all of us working together. But if you're out there and you're interested, definitely talk to your reps and counselors at VetJobs, find out if we or others of their programs are the best fit. And you're so right. It's a career. We always tell our students, you're beginning, a stepping stone. You're heading down, because you can go so many ways just in cyber. I mean,
just in cyber. It's the hot ticket around town right now. There's millions of jobs backlog. We can't fill them fast enough out there in the world. So, it's going to be around for a long time, people. We're moving in that direction. So,
I would say that the two hottest IT spaces in my area of expertise are cyber and then data science.
Right.
Those are just really popular areas. But cyber, there's anywhere from, FTC reports from 300,000 to 3 million unfilled jobs, depending on whether they're talking about the states or worldwide and the projections. But yeah, there are a lot of opportunities, especially if you put the time in. I say bring passion, bring an interest, and if you can get sort of the bug and get bit where you just love to solve these puzzles, you want to figure this stuff out, you want to learn it, then that kind of passion will take you far in the space.
And we trip across a lot of those people. So hopefully we can steer some your way this year. I want to run back and revisit real quick places that you're looking to fill, seats that you're looking to fill right now. Let's do a quick recap of that. Then there's a statement I pulled off the website I want to put up here on the screen and have you speak to before we wrap together and close out. But let's jump back over here real quick just to do a quick recap again for the viewers, because we covered a lot. We jumped around a lot. There's programs, there's training pieces here. But for somebody coming to you looking for work specifically, let's run through that again real quick in that context, please.
Well, like I said, we have details that are just sort of protective details, as it said there, protective services. So we will guard things like we have people guarding, various installations or various factories or high-end facilities. And so those opportunities are there. Then the executive protection stuff is also a side of our business. So, that is more, I won't say hit or miss, but there are people who sometimes can get an assignment and stay, and other times it might be only when people are traveling or whatever. So there are different levels of that. And then, as I mentioned before, on our cyber impact teams, we are, always trying to grow that side of our organization. That's one we're going to work a lot on this year to actually hopefully place even more people. But we want to grow that services organization so that we can, be there. We want to be the person you call when something goes wrong, and sadly, but if something if you get encrypted or stuff breaks down, but our guys and girls can do anything. They can help install a major rollout. They can do an upgrade. Like I said, we can do monitoring services. And so it kind of varies on what our clients are needing at that point, what we're having.
Right.
But all of those are possibilities. And, the thing to me is like in our idea, there's a lady named Kira Hayes that you can actually find some press out there on, because CompTIA wrote a blog about her. But she's kind of one of our success stories. She was a vet. She came to our first class last year in January in the classroom. She actually had a little experience and definitely some gaming experience and some on her own. And she ultimately became the first person to get all 3 certs while she was with us, which impressed us. So we ended up hiring her and putting her on the cyber impact team, sending her out. Then when we switched to distance learning and grew and had to add more tracks, we brought her in-house to be an assistant. And sadly, but happily, last October, a bunch of us took her out to dinner her last night with us, because now she's got her career job as an analyst at a blue team company. And so it's sort of the ideal model, but that doesn't mean, and we do hire, outside. They don't have to be our graduates if it fits the mold and the assignments and the job and the skills that we have. But definitely we always tell our students, you might as well consider this not only a great learning experience, but potentially a 5-week interview too. Because,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're under review at the same time. So no pressure, right?
No pressure at all.
Well, I appreciate you recapping that. One last question that came to mind, and I know we didn't cover: geographic preferences for you guys for hires. I know you do California based in Moorpark. You're Austin. What's that look like for you guys right now?
That's a good question, Don, and it can vary. A lot of our physical, because of the history of our company, is based in California, in the West, if you will. But we do have work, because some of our clients are pretty big and they have facilities other places. So that definitely here in Texas, we're actually planning an office here in Texas, as well as we have clients like SpaceX and others that are here. And longer term, we also plan to kind of probably have our 3rd big facility someday over on the East Coast, maybe around Fort Bragg and that area. And but the assignments can, and especially the EP assignments, can kind of go everywhere. And then our cyber definitely can. As a matter of fact, even when it comes to like assistants and instructors, now instructors and assistants are a very special beast for us. We either really have high-end people that have been out there, like all of my instructors are like 30-year guys that have been doing this and working, not just teachers, but know the stuff too. And our assistants are either really top-end or came through our program usually. But that's, they are, especially in this distance world. I mean, I have Indiana, Michigan, Texas. And then we can send people with those cyber impact teams anywhere. So a lot of our folks may live wherever, but they just hit the air and go, parachute in, so to speak, and attack the mission.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, I guess it's more flexible on the cyber in many cases than it is on the physical, and then sort of a spectrum in between, if you will.
Well, we'll be sure to put that out when we're pushing this out into the ether of the world. We're promoting it. And unfortunately, it took COVID to really fast track the economy and jobs to that place. I mean, we were on that path, but it was probably going to be 5-10 years away. This really accelerated this in a business standpoint, work from home, distance and remote working. I think you're going to see a lot of it stay around as COVID starts tapering off and going away. But that's the reality that we live in today. But I appreciate, Lee, the time, the recap. I know it's a Saturday, you're traveling. You're like, another interview. I think this was great. This is great content for our people who are just starting to work with Covered 6, everybody out there. Security, executive security. We've got cybersecurity force out there. I mean, there's a lot going on. There's training in-house with these guys. They make their own tactical gear. Come on, they've got their own village going on. I mean, this is awesome. I mean, I'm going to leave this one thread. I want you to wrap with this, Lee. I found this on the website, and I'd like you to speak to it. What does this mean to you?
Well, I would say it's constantly evolving, but it definitely has. One of the things that we've been advocating, and our founder, Kristen, has advocated his whole life, is a very holistic approach. It's one of the things that made me fall in love with Covered 6, besides just a great family environment, great team, and then veteran focus. But was that this vision. A lot of times out there, you have people that treat physical and cyber as different silos. And so in this day and age, as we teach our students all the time, if you're going to be a physical security person, you still need to know some cyber, because you need to know that the enemy might drop a drone on the roof, and that's a Wi-Fi hotspot breaking into the building. And then the same thing
Right.
with the cyber guys. If you don't, there was a major DARPA contest that they ran that was a hacking contest, and the winners actually broke in physically and stole the servers. And that's happened in the real world as well. So we really need, I think that's what we're speaking to, that the landscape has changed. We're in a holistic, integrated world. You really need to look at all of that kind of things. And I think the pandemic and all of the various disruptions in our economy and the political ramifications of various things have even driven that home for people more. You need to be aware of what's going on with open source intelligence. Even if you're a business, if you happen to be near some place that stuff goes down, then that's going to impact you, right? So it's an evolving landscape, but it's definitely changed from years ago when just those were sort of separate. Now they're sort of coming under one umbrella or the other. And we've actually had a lot of students that I think are seeing this for the long term. They'll come and take, say, the physical or the EP or both, and then take cyber, or take cyber and then take one of those. And I tell them all the time, it's a great model, because whether you stay in the cyber side and you want to be the head of that someday, you're probably going to take over the other when it's all under one umbrella, and you can speak to it because you have some. Or if you come up the physical side, you still might be able to say, well, I do understand tech. I understand firewalls, and I get that. So I can run it both. And so we've actually had a surprising number of crossovers across our programs, and I'm happy to see it, because I think that's going to bode well for them, longer term in their careers as security directors, or maybe even CISOs and things like that.
Well, I think it's a great testament to the mentality of your organization and what it means to work there, your awareness of this space, the industry, what you guys are doing right now as far as your training programs, and just how you guys come across as the level of professionalism that you bring, I think is tremendous. So I think it's great for people out there to pay attention to what Coverage 6 is doing, get involved if it's of interest, and contact your VetJobs representative to get you plugged in. And leave with that. I appreciate your time, my friend. Thank you very much.
I appreciate you having me, Don, and I appreciate you making it happen on a Saturday. I'm really excited to grow this partnership and to see how we can help more and more vets move into this field.
All right, thanks so much for joining us for another edition of Salute to Industry.
Absolutely. And to register for services and learn more about other employment opportunities, visit us on the web at vetjobs.org/jobs for veterans.